morning, Brandon will be presenting his second elective speech from Pathways Level 3. The purpose of this project is for the member to practice using a story within a speech, or giving a speech that is a story. What could make a better story than the first time that Dad takes his kids fishing? That's what we'll hear about this morning in this speech titled, Dad's Taking Us Fishing. Please help me welcome Brandon Carrasco, requesting 5 to 7 minutes.
Let me encourage all of you, please don't hesitate to take kids out to have a new experience, even if you are not an expert in that, if it's not your forte. But please do let them know what to expect in advance. I had 2 boys who were super excited for their first fishing trip. Mark, who was 6 years old at the time, full of questions, so curious about it all. And Grant, who was 4. Now, Grant wasn't so much curious as he just was rambunctious and had too much energy. But there we were at Walmart buying brand new superhero fishing rods, salmon eggs and power bait, and some hooks to go fishing in the beautiful, enchanting New Mexico Jemez Mountains. We got our stuff together. We went camping the night before. And there we were in the big meadow Friday afternoon while these boys used the little rubber fish that came with the fishing rods to practice casting and reeling it back in, and casting and reeling it back in. And only 4 or 5 times did I have to untangle their lines because they totally cast them over each other and then fought with each other and got them all tangled up. But they were ready, they were jazzed. The next morning, we drive a little bit further up to the kids' pond at the hatchery there in the Jemez Mountains. It's a pond that kids under 12 can fish in, no adults can fish in that pond, no fishing license required, totally free. And there are so many fish, you can see them swimming around. It doesn't get any easier than that. Well, Dad's not the fastest at tying a hook or baiting it, and so the boys are getting anxious, but finally got Mark's done, and he casts his line in, and I'm trying to tie Grant's line. Well, Mark lost his bait, and I've got to stop and get the bait put back on his, and then try to get Grant going. And we're doing this for a while, probably an hour or so, getting nothing, not even a bite. The little girl next to us is pulling in fish after fish, and her mom says, well, we're using worms. They seem to be working. You want to try that? Oh, that would be great. Thank you so much. We try some worms, cast them in. We lose the worms almost immediately. Kids get tangled up in some kind of vegetation under the water. It's just not our day, apparently. We're starting to pack up. It's getting hotter. And a guy, 2 or 3 groups over, he comes over and he says, hey, are you catching anything? He sees that we're packing up. Did you catch anything? No, we didn't catch anything. And I think he felt bad for my boys, that they're just not going to have a very good experience. And he says, what are you using? He said, we're using power bait and salmon eggs. And he goes, that's what we're using. And he was catching fish after fish, his kids were. And he said, how are you tying it on? And so I explained it. He said, that's your problem. You're doing it wrong. You're tying the bait too close to the weight. It's way down at the bottom. They don't eat off the bottom. You got to do it differently. So he helps us tie a couple of stringers further away from our weights so that they float up, cast it in, give the rod to Mark, got it nice and far out there. Less than a minute, bam, he's got a fish on the line, and it's pulling on him, and he doesn't know what to do. He's in shock that there's something pulling on his line. So I'm helping him hold it, and he's reeling it in, and we pull it, and he's reeling it in, and we pull it. And sure enough, here comes a fish getting closer to us, and Grant's just jumping up and down, and he's cheering for his brother, and these guys were just out of their minds. So we bring the fish up on shore, we take the hook out of its mouth, and there they are. They've got a fish. And I've got the best picture of Mark just grinning ear to ear, holding this fish, and his little brother just cheesing it up right next to him. And they're so excited So our friend who came down and helped us put the bait on the line, sensing my obvious lack of fishing skills, says, do you know how to get the fish? I said, yeah, of course I know how to get the fish. But if you wanted to help, I'd take the advice. And he says, let me help you guys. So he takes the fish. The boy said, what's he doing? He's going to gut the fish so we can take him home. Okay, great. Well, he goes and he starts doing his work, right? They didn't understand what gutting a fish meant. Mark, I think, felt bad for the fish, but Grant just came unglued. No! I couldn't get him calmed down. We got done, we pack up our stuff, we make our way all the way around the pond, back to the van, start putting our stuff, and I'm trying to calm him down. But the entire time around the pond, he's just screaming and screaming at me at the top of his lungs. And I finally get him calmed down enough. He didn't realize that you catch a fish to eat it. He thought we were taking this fish home. We were going to put it in our little 10-gallon fish tank or something. I don't know where he thought we were going to keep it. But he was so upset. He had no idea. Well, 20 minutes into the drive, he's sound asleep, and the boys were super excited to share their fishing story when we got home with everybody in the family. But I tell you what, I learned a lesson that day. It's wonderful to take a kid to have a new experience, but it is so important to make sure they understand what to expect before you go.